Hey, Ainsley, so let's talk with the folks about who's their candidate and what they want to see. What do you think is the most important issue?
Our children.
Our children. And who do you think is the best candidate
Trump.
to solve that? Donald Trump? Sir, what's the most important issue for you?
Border security, the economy, and the list goes on.
And you were a former Democrat.
Oh, yeah.
And you're voting for who?
I think I'll vote for Biden, Trump this time.
Okay. Hey, former Biden guy, now you're voting for Trump. Wow. Sir, what's the number one issue for you?
Economy, job creation.
It's all about the jobs.
That's right.
And who do you think is best fit for jobs?
Donald J. Trump.
Donald Trump. Okay. All right. Ma'am, I'm going to go to you.
All right.
Number one issue for you?
The military.
The military. Why?
Well, I don't like things that happen since that person has been in office.
Joe Biden.
Yeah, that person.
That person.
That person.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who is the person you want to see in office?
Trump.
You want Trump back?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys, so what you just saw there was a Fox News clip of them interviewing voters in Clayton, North Carolina, which is a small town outside of Raleigh. I'm actually very familiar with Clayton, okay? Shout out to Clayton, okay? I have friends whose families are from Clayton, North Carolina. I am familiar with Clayton, North Carolina. Shout out to Clayton, right? Because, again, you can see that, voters in general, even if you voted for Biden, a lot of them seem to be saying, you know what? We want Trump. We want to vote for Trump because of the disaster that the Biden administration has been. However, there are some people who have not quite seen the light, and it's probably because of their Trump derangement, which brings me to the topic of this video. Stephen A. Smith, right? The sports commentator turned political/culture commentator, because that's what he's trying to do now, okay? He thinks that because he has Republican friends, he's friends with Sean Hannity and some people on Fox News, that he can now talk about politics intelligently, and that just seems to not really be the case, okay? I'm not very impressed with Stephen A. Smith's political commentary, and clips like this I'm about to show you guys is exactly why. As he was doing this interview with Clay Travis, and he was asked about whether or not he would vote for Biden or Trump or sit out in 2024, as it looks like it's going to be Biden or Trump, okay, based off the fact that Trump is dominating the GOP primary, and it looks like the DNC is not going to have a primary at all because the Democrat Party is actually anti-democratic. So it looks like it's going to be Biden or Trump. Clay Travis asked Stephen A. Smith about whether or not he would vote for Joe Biden or Trump or sit out. And Stephen A. Smith responds by basically asking Trump supporters to consider voting for Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley over Trump, because Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley are basically the same as Trump, except they are less divisive. And that if Trump becomes president in 2024, Trump may start a civil war. Take a look.
Trump and Biden look like they're going to be the Democrat and Republican nominees in 2024. I know there'll be third parties. Would you vote Biden? Would you vote Trump? Would you vote third party? Or are you so frustrated you just throw up your hands, which unfortunately I think a lot of people are going to be, and just wouldn't even bother to show up because you don't think it's going to matter?
As a black man, I would never throw away my vote. People died to fight for the right for us to vote. I would never disrespect my descendants by doing something like that. People made tremendous sacrifices with their lives for us to have the right to vote. And I'm definitely going to, Voting Rights Act kicks in 1965. I mean, hell, we did this 1965 for crying out loud. We go through all of that, then you're not going to vote. I think that's shameful. And I think that's irresponsible. And I think that it's important to recognize that the biggest conduit for change is your vote. That's number one. Having said all of that, here's my answer to your question about a third party as opposed to Trump or Biden. I would tell you that I would vote third party in a heartbeat if I thought it could win an election. I don't want to throw away my vote, okay? But I will tell you, I'm not enamored with either candidate. I'm not as down on all of Trump's policies as people are. There are some good things he's done. I'm from an HBCU. I know that he did things for HBCUs. I know that the economy was flourishing. We can act like we don't know that, but damn it, it's true. It was flourishing under his stewardship for some time. I know COVID ended up being a disaster. Now we're finding out something new every day about Dr. Fauci or anybody else. I don't know all of the details of this stuff, but you just read the news and you see what's going on. You listen to people like yourself, and I don't give a damn what people say about Clay Travis or anybody else. Don't tell me who you like. Are they telling the truth? Are they telling the truth, damn it? If you're telling the truth, then damn it, I like you. I mean, I just got to take it. And so that's just the way that it is. But when I look at Trump, here's where I think that all of his supporters should take something into consideration. I think that he's so divisive that he could potentially cause civil war in this country. That's my concern about him. What I would ask the Republicans is this. Somebody like DeSantis would vote right along how he'd vote. They try to implement policies just like he's implementing it. Nikki Haley as well. I mean, what are you talking about? They would do the things that Trump does. They would just do it with considerably more decorum and, dare I say, decency, as opposed to being so divisive where you ultimately cause civil war in this country. On the other hand, there's Biden. And there are a lot of people with the Democratic Party that I won't give their names, but they've made sure to contact me because they didn't like the fact that I said this, Clay. We need a new president. The man is going to be 82 years of age in the year 2024. There's no way around it. We need to stop.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? A laughable take from Stephen A. Smith, who made a name for himself on Woke Take, aka First Take. And again, this is the reason why I think that Stephen A. should stay away from political takes, because there's so many issues with what he said. I don't even know where to start. Let's start with this. Him asking Trump supporters to consider voting for Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley because basically they're all going to do the same things that Trump would do. And it's like, that's just not true, right? That's not true at all. When it comes to Nikki Haley is a neocon. There's no doubt in my mind from a foreign policy perspective that Nikki Haley and Trump are not going to do the same thing, okay? I think that Trump is going to tend to try not to get us into unnecessary wars, and I think that Nikki Haley is going to try to get us into unnecessary wars, right? I think that that's a huge difference. A difference that I believe it matters, right? It 100% matters, okay? Nikki Haley is an authoritarian, okay? She wants to dox everybody on social media who has anonymous accounts who says mean things about her, right? That's the type of person Nikki Haley is. I don't believe that she's actually going to try to close the border. I think that there are significant differences between somebody like Trump and Nikki Haley. Now, when it comes to Trump and DeSantis, I think that there are less differences. However, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like there's not a difference or that, oh, well, you know, I'm concerned that voting for Trump is going to cause civil war, okay, which brings me to, again, the next part of what Stephen A. Smith said. I think it's just ridiculous, and he doesn't actually really realize what he's saying, which is that if Trump is elected, then that may cause a civil war. Now, I would ask Stephen A. Smith, my follow-up would be, well, why do you think that Trump would cause civil war? What would happen that would make this country go into a civil war if Trump is elected? I'll ask him that question because naturally what he's trying to imply here, and I don't think he actually realizes that he's trying to imply it, that leftists would get upset, right? Leftists would boohoo, whine, and cry so much that they would spark a civil war because they're so upset about Trump becoming president again, which, in my opinion, right, if that's the way that Stephen A. Smith had framed his answer, then I would say that you really need to be talking to Biden supporters and liberals more so than talking to Trump supporters, because I'm not going to change my vote because I think that liberals are going to be upset and they're going to spark a civil war if Trump is elected, right? Which, again, in my opinion, I think that if Trump is elected again, that we could see a January 6th part 2. But this time, it comes from the left, okay? In which, I mean, let's be real. We've seen much worse versions of January 6th from the left for the past 3 or 4 years, whether that be the BLM riots, the Antifa riots, the Roe v. Wade riots, the pro-Palestine riots. All of these left-wing riots we have seen have been worse than January 6th and they've all come from the left. But you got Stephen A. Smith asking Trump supporters to consider voting for somebody else because left-wingers are going to get upset. But he doesn't mention the fact that if there's a civil war, it's because the left is literally causing violence. They sparked the civil war, right? He's framing it as if Trump is the reason why there's going to be a civil war, right? It's not Trump's fault if leftists get mad that he gets reelected, right? It's not Trump's fault. And I damn sure I'm not considering changing my vote because, you know, liberals might get upset if Trump gets elected. Screw the liberals. If they get upset, they get upset. And every single last one of them that decide to resort to violence, okay, and rioting and destroying property should be arrested. They should be arrested and thrown in prison for it, right? That's exactly what should happen. It reminds me how the mainstream liberal media covered the 2020 election, okay, in which you had these Democrat cities boarding up their cities because they were concerned about the chance of violence if Trump is reelected. But again, they framed it as if the violence would happen and the violence is Trump's fault, right? It's Trump's fault that he got reelected. Therefore, the violence that happens as a result is on Trump. But they fail to mention that, no, the people that are committing these acts of violence, the reason why these liberal cities are boarding up stores, okay, and trying to protect themselves is from radical leftists, right? It's because left-wingers tend to commit acts of violence when they're not happy with the outcome of elections. Again, it's just funny how that works. Let's blame Trump and let's consider not voting for Trump because left-wingers are going to get upset, right? They're going to get violent. Instead of saying, no, it's unacceptable for people to be violent like this just because they don't like the outcome of an election, right? Instead of saying that, Stephen A. is like, well, you guys should consider voting for DeSantis or Dick Cheney and Hills, right? Because, you know, if you vote for Trump and he wins, left-wingers are going to lose their minds, right? As if people should be afraid of that. Why should conservatives who live in heavily armed, rural parts of the country that don't have these left-wing riots and protests, why should we be concerned about left-wingers rioting in liberal cities, right? Again, I'm trying to figure out how this works. I'm trying to figure out the logic behind this, okay? The people who actually should be concerned are Democrats, right? They should be concerned, okay? And if you're really concerned about political violence in this country, you honestly should vote against Democrats because Democrats have supported political violence in this country for years, okay? It's been them and their supporters, the main people that are committing these acts of political violence. But again, it's not talked about enough. You never hear these people bring that up or talk about that, but they always want to talk about the threat that Trump is, okay? One of the main symptoms of Trump derangement is these people that can come out here like Stephen A. Smith or for Chris Cuomo, for example, that can acknowledge the facts that under Trump it was better than it is under Biden right now. We know that, okay? And then they still say, well, but Trump, you know, he might cause a civil war or, you know, but Trump says mean things. That is the main symptom of Trump derangement syndrome. If you're really sitting here right now and saying, well, I know that the economy and the country was in a much better place under Trump than Biden, but yet I'm still sitting here going back and forth in regards to who I'm going to vote for because of mean tweets or because the leftists are going to get upset. Yeah, you're Trump deranged, right? Because you're quite literally letting your emotions, your derangement when it comes to Trump, get in the way of what you know is the right thing to do in regards to who to vote for, right? You know for a fact that Trump is better than Biden, but yet you're still trying to, you know, rationalize voting for a much worse situation, a much worse country because of things that really you shouldn't even be voting based off of, right? Like, again, Trump's mean tweets or leftists getting upset, right? If you're going to vote based off leftists getting upset, then stop voting for leftists, right? Stop voting for Democrats, okay? Vote people in office who are going to punish these Democrats and these leftists and these liberals, okay, who commit these acts of violence, right? That's what you should do. If that's what you're concerned about, if you're concerned about the possibility of civil war, if Trump was elected, then that's all the more reason to elect him because, again, you want to vote people in office that are going to stand up to these radicals. What you don't do is bow down to the radicals and their threat of violence and, cower and say, well, we can't vote for Trump because you can get upset. Nah, that's not what you do, right? That's not what you do at all. But hey, like I said, man, this right here, again, that's why I think Stephen A. should stick to sports, right? Stick to sports. I know you want to get into politics. I get it, right? But I think that Stephen A. Simp should stick to sports. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.